Greetings and salutations, YouTube family and friends. T-Rav Vlogs here. What's up, guys? There's something I've been wanting to show you since Anime Senpai, but I haven't really had the time to do so as of late, but I figured, what better time than today? On Saturday of the convention, I went as Reno with the rest of my fellow Turks, and you may have seen me carrying something around with me as Reno that I really didn't get to talk about very much. Those who are fans of the video game and series in general know that Reno carries around an electro mag rod with him, and he's pretty much seen throughout the entirety of his time there with it. And when I first came out with Reno, I didn't have it. But when I went to the convention, suddenly I did. So I wanted to showcase that for you today. So let's take a look at Reno's mag rod. Here is the mag rod in its entirety. It is PVC pipe spray painted, and it's got a few other details on there, a few other pieces, and honestly, I am absolutely thrilled with how it came out. Of course, the brilliant craftsman that is my father, who also made my Moroku monk staff, crafted this for me as well, and it came out beautifully. It is not detail for detail with the video game version. However, I think for what it is worth, it really does the trick. And in fact, funny story about this particular prop. The first thing I did Saturday was I went into weapons check there at the convention, which at a lot of conventions you have to stop off if you have a prop or something along those lines and check it to make sure that the staff knows it's not dangerous and you're not going to hurt anybody wielding it around and acting a fool with it. You shouldn't be doing that anyway, but still, this way they know that the prop or weapon that you have is safe. So I went to the table to show my prop to the weapons check lady, and as I started to hand it to her, she kind of gave me this sideways glance and like she was kind of unsure, and she just went to take it and says, "Oh honey, I don't think you're gonna," and then I handed it to her and she went, "Oh." I said, "Yeah, it's just spray painted PVC pipe." She says, "I thought this was actual metal, honey. I was going to tell you, you can't bring that into the convention." So, yeah, the overall effect worked out pretty well. I had the staffer fooled that this was actually real metal, and she was not going to let me into the convention until she got a hold of it and said, "Oh, well, this is nothing at all. It's light as a feather, and it really does the trick for what it's worth." So I could not be happier with this particular prop, crafted, again, brilliantly by my father. So, Dad, thank you so much for your hard work. This turned out really well, and we even fooled a staffer. How about that? So in wanting to show this particular prop to you, it got me thinking about the other costumes that I've done throughout the years in my cosplay career, and in really giving it some thought, I realized that I have more costumes that utilize props than costumes that don't. So I figured that's something that we could talk about today. The use of props with cosplay. So even as far back as my very first costume, I was telling you all about this in the Convention Memories series a while back, that I did Moroku from Inuyasha. And those who are fans of the series know that he is never without his monk staff. So I knew if I was going to be doing this particular costume that I needed to have that staff, or else it just was not going to look right. So again, went to my father. He crafted it for me, and the rest is history. People everywhere gushed about it, as far away as Atlanta for Anime Weekend Atlanta. People loved it there. People loved it at all the other conventions I'd gone to, and it really brought home who I was, because let's face it, if you see Moroku without the staff, it just doesn't hit the same, you know? But I also discovered that props did not have to be overly cumbersome or even as tall as you are and have to carry it around and whatnot. When I moved on to do Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho, I carried a rose around with me. And again, fans of the series know that he has a rose always on him, so he can use it as his rose whip if he needs to use it for an attack or something like that. So just a little subtle detail that I would pull out the rose and pose with it whenever I was on camera. Didn't have to be overly cumbersome. I know some people do have the whole whip and everything like that. That's all well and good, but I just wanted a little something to drive the point home as to who I was, and that was a little rose. And even as I got out of anime cosplay and still continued on with my costuming, when I got into the Alice in Wonderland troupe with my friends Bob and Brandy, I did the White Rabbit. And I either had a pocket watch with me or an oversized clock to really focus on him always looking at the time because he's constantly running late. Because if you see him in the movie, he's constantly looking at his watch saying he's late. So I figured, gotta have that timepiece. And then when I got back into the anime cosplay scene, when I did Undertaker, yes, there was the opportunity to use a very big and prominent prop, which at the time I did not have the means to do. That isn't the case anymore, by the way. But I decided to go with a little cauldron that was filled with freshly baked bone-shaped biscuits. Baked brilliantly by Brandy, of course, and those were always a hit at the convention. It was an interactive prop. People would come up to me, if they told me a joke and made me laugh, then they got a biscuit. So that was a little prop that enhanced the experience not only for myself, but for everybody else as well. And as my Black Butler roster began to expand, so too did my use of props there. With Charles Gray, I made sure to have his sword with him, and even with Othello, I made sure to carry around a little practice scythe because that's really all he carries around anyway. He doesn't need anything overly flashy or elaborate, so that's what he has with him. Now, one particular Black Butler character I have in my roster, I didn't plan on having a prop with, but at the very last minute, I decided that I was going to go ahead and have his convention debut feature this particular prop. In my original cos test with Ronald Knox, I had no props whatsoever. It was just me in the suit, and we went on with that. But when I was going to Anime Senpai that year, and I was going to debut Ronald Knox, I really wanted to have something that was going to really show who I was supposed to be. So a week before the convention, I put together this lawnmower prop made out of a shoebox and some PVC pipe, and while it was kind of a hurried job and it really didn't last me 2 cons, it really worked for what it was. And honestly, had I not had that prop, I probably wouldn't have got the reaction that I did. Just walking down the main hallway at the Gateway Center with my lawnmower, I was walking past a huge line for an event that people were waiting to get into, and one of the con-goers looked over and just screamed, "Oh my gosh, you're the lawnmower guy from Black Butler." Now, she didn't know the character's name, but she did know who I was. And that began a snowball effect. People began recognizing me. I made quite a few friends because of the character choice that I had made, because Ronald Knox was also their favorite character. So the use of that prop, especially calling an audible and having it made last minute, really enhanced the experience of that particular character. Otherwise, I would have just been another anime character in a black suit. And let's face it, in anime, there are a lot of those, so I probably would have just blended into the background. But having that lawnmower really helped. And of course, for future costumes, I really do intend on utilizing props again in the future. I would really like to show off the resources that I have for Undertaker's new prop, so hopefully that's going to be happening in the near future. But even for a larger cos plan that I have further on down the pipeline, I'm going to be needing a prop for that as well, because again, this particular character carries this thing with him all the time, so gotta have it. So there we go, a look at my use of props throughout the years in my cosplay career, and honestly I think that they really helped enhance the character and the overall look of the costume. There were some instances where, yeah, maybe the prop wasn't necessary for figuring out who I was, but there were other instances that people probably wouldn't have guessed who I was had I not had the prop. So to all my cosplay friends out there, do you have a favorite prop that you've used for your costumes? Do you have a favorite story centered around the prop that you took to a convention or a gathering? Let me know down in the comments below. I love reading your guys' stories and all of the experiences that you've had with your costuming and all that wonderful stuff. So as always, if you guys like what you're seeing and what you're hearing, don't forget to subscribe down below. Click on that little notification bell so you don't miss when I post another video, and also drop a like down there to let me know that you came by. I love seeing you guys on my little corner of YouTube, and I love having discussions with you guys, getting to know you a little bit better. And I always appreciate the fact that you're giving time to me to check out these videos. But for now, that's really all I have to say about that. So until next time, I'll talk to you soon, and take care. Bye-bye.